And what happened was that I closed my eyes, I was laying in my bed, and suddenly I saw this white light above my forehead, and I started getting this powerful energy that was basically going from above my forehead through my body, and it was really strong. This is Mike Sigula from TruthTheory.com, and welcome to another episode of True Spirituality. This is my series on metaphysics, esotericism, mysticism, and spirituality. And if you are new here, please subscribe, because this is already episode 23. So if you are completely new, please check out previous episodes. So if you are someone who likes topics such as psychedelics, meditation, consciousness, karma, reincarnation, law of one, starseeds, hermetic teachings, anything in between, this series is for you. And one more thing before we're gonna start, please check out patreon.com/truththeory and consider becoming a supporter, because we can only create content thanks to help of people such as yourself. So if you are enjoying these videos, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon. Check out what's going on there. And if you want to work with me on one-to-one basis, I actually do online coaching as well. So go to truththeory.com/coaching. Initial consultation is free of charge. You can have a look at different options there and get in touch. Okay, so let's get into the topic. So today I want to talk about a very interesting experience that I've had, and I don't remember exactly when was it. I think it was around 2008 or 9, but it was basically between 2008 and 2010. I think it was like 2009. I remember because I remember where I was living, and that I was at the university at that time. And what happened? So a little bit of background. Around this period, I was experimenting a lot with different practices, especially with different healing methods, right? So for example, I started doing Qigong around maybe 2006-07 for roughly 3 years. So this was the period when I was practicing Qigong. And if you don't know, Qigong, it's a Chinese exercise system similar to Tai Chi, which basically is designed to help you to increase flow of Qi or prana through your body, through meridians, to heal you. Because according to Chinese, the disease and illness starts on an energetic level. That's how acupuncture works as well. It tries to unlock blockages in meridians. So you have, your body is basically a battery, and you have bioelectricity. And Qigong and similar practices help you in basically increasing the flow of Qi and prana throughout your body. So that's in a nutshell, right? So I was experimenting with similar practices around this period. I tried different healing methods. I was going to these different groups. So healing methods, I'm talking about things like Reiki, kind of Reiki. I was doing different methods, but hands-on healing, even absent healing, which I tried, but that's a topic for another video. Absent healing is when you try to do a distance healing, which worked for me, but that's a whole different video. I don't want to start even here. All I want to say is that was at this period that I'm referring to, I was actually pretty heavily experimenting with many different teachings, many different practices, and a lot of them were around healing methods and flow of energy in your body and these kind of practices, right? So I was just testing them myself, right? All right, so what's happened? So like I said, this period around 2008-09, one evening I decided to smoke a little bit of cannabis, and I went to bed. And I know that many people will think that, what happened was just that I was stoned and I was having hallucinations, whatever. I don't think so. I think this was genuine. I know that cannabis obviously can enhance things, right? But I wasn't a guy who, gets stoned first time in his life and start seeing God knows what and believing in it. By that time, I was very familiar with how cannabis works, you know. I was smoking already when I was a teenager, so I was never a big smoker. At that period, maybe I would smoke like 3 times a year or something like that. So very rarely, just kind of one evening like that. And I wasn't even that stoned. I was just like, had a little bit of weed, went to bed to relax. That's it, right? And what happened was that I closed my eyes, I was laying in my bed, and suddenly I saw this white light above my forehead, and I started getting this powerful energy that was basically going from above my forehead through my body, and it was really strong. So it lasted maybe 40 minutes, half an hour, something around that. And I was just shaking in bed. So imagine that you are having electric shocks, right? Like you're just like that, right? This is the kind of thing I had. It was very strong. I was just like moving around in bed and just absorbing this energy. And it's funny because the energy itself seemed very healing. It was very positive. I wasn't scared or anything like that, because the energy was really like nice, you know. I enjoyed that feeling. So the way I could describe it is like, if you ever had Reiki done and you're sensitive and you can kind of feel the field or the energy, or it kind of makes you feel better, imagine that times 100. So super powerful, insanely powerful Reiki session. That's the feeling I had. Like I was just like shaking in bed from that energy basically. And you know, I had this weird experience. Like I said, what I think the weed just kind of made me open, you know, made me more sensitive, made me kind of relaxed, but it wasn't hallucination, 100%. It was just like, so I can become more open to receive that energy, you know, more relaxed, so it can work better. That's what I think happened. So, you know, I had this experience and then I kind of forgot about it a little bit. And like I said, I was still doing my Qigong practice, and I started noticing that I basically started becoming very sensitive to energies. So for example, I could feel my forehead tingling, right? When I breathe in, like I start feeling tingling in my forehead and my left hand. And left hand is a minus. Left hand absorbs the energy. That's like what the teachings in Qigong talk about, right? You are a battery basically. Left hand is absorbing the energy, right hand is giving it away, right? So I started noticing my chakras, you know, feeling them, the field, things like that. I remember going to a forest and I could feel the trees, like, you know, it was like walking through spider nets, like constantly feeling the energy of trees. I remember I would go inside the church just to check. It was like some nice looking, you know, old church. I would just go inside and straight away I get tingling again in my palms, forehead, you know, chakras, main meridians, main energy points. I would go to a room where they were doing some kind of healing method like Reiki, and straight away I just entered the room and I start getting this tingling sensation in my palms and my, you know, and chakras and things like that. So I started noticing how I became sensitive to energies, you know, solar flares, for example. You know, you have solar flares and straight away I feel more energized, and I just sense that the field is denser basically. I became more sensitive to energies basically. And by the way, sometimes you can feel what I mean with like sensitivity to energies. The feeling can be a little bit like, you know, if you would be moving your hands underwater, so you have some kind of resistance a little bit. So one of the exercises to do it is just like holding palms together, breathing and trying to move them a little bit like that, you know, and see if you can feel anything. So this is like when you start feeling energies, this is one of the basic exercises to see that for yourself. But I just became very sensitive, and I completely forgot about this one night that I had when I had this weird experience. And I thought, you know, because I'm doing Qigong a lot and I was getting more and more into it, like training for periods of time, 6 times a week or 7 times a week, I felt, you know, I'm just activating the flow of Qi. That's why I'm sensitive, right? Because I'm training a lot. Then I stopped doing Qigong completely. I had like 3 years of doing Qigong. Then I kind of moved on. I got bored with it. I got into meditations and other things. And this feeling, the energy sensitivity stayed with me till today. That's already like whatever, 14 years now, something like that. And it changes depending. If I meditate a lot, you know, I'm becoming more sensitive. If I do Qigong, sometimes I do it, I'm becoming more sensitive. If there is like some changes, you know, like solar flares, whatever, some alignments, I can be a little bit more or less sensitive, things like that. But overall, it was like a single activation, like a one night thing where I just opened my sensitivity. And, you know, another very interesting thing about this whole thing is that, you know, I remember a little bit later, 2011, maybe 12, I was actually attending a Spiritist group, Spiritist Community in London. So basically, I was experimenting with these different teachings, practices, going to these groups and learning about their stories and, you know, practices. So Spiritist Community was one of these that I was kind of learning from. And I remember one time I think I was on the metro reading a book about spirits. I don't remember the book, but maybe it was one of them, Allan Kardec's books. But basically it was something about spirit in the book. And I'm reading that line where it says spirit, and I started feeling like someone's tapping me in my ear. And I started paying more attention to it. So I started noticing these kind of energetic taps, sometimes in my ears, sometimes in my right hand, left hand. And this was the beginning. Now, many years later, I learned that actually I became very sensitive to energies, and different spirits, especially my spirit guides, are using this tapping to communicate with me. And this is one of the methods I'm using. I'm using a bunch of methods. Dreams are another one. But that's what happened. And it's funny because I've done a session last year where I was being shown on psychedelics that this tapping thing that I have now was actually something that I agreed to before my incarnation. So if you know about your soul plan, that you set up specific events, I was shown by my guides that I agreed to have that part activated. So this event that I just talked about, where I had this single activation, was actually planned by me before incarnation, and that was a part of my soul plan. So now, you know, many years later, I'm using it at full capacity, so I can ask questions, get like yes, no, left hand is going to be no, right hand is going to be yes. Sometimes if I'm doing certain things, like I shouldn't be doing something, I get taps in my ear, you know, sometimes like really intense. And today it's just a very normal system that I'm using, part of my system that I'm using, which includes dreams as well. This is another thing. Sometimes they are combined, you know, like I have a dream, I wake up and I get like, you know, and I'm analyzing the dream and I get like yes, no, like these taps. So today is very normal to me to use that. But, you know, at that time, obviously, I was kind of like learning what's going on, how it works. And by the way, this system is not perfect. We are surrounded by entities constantly. We have our spirit guides, we have other entities, sometimes tricksters, negative ones. They might tap you. You might think this is like your spirit guide, but it's actually someone else to confuse you. So it's not perfect. This system is not perfect, but it's definitely useful, and it's really been part of my system that I'm using to kind of get guidance and you know, do my work here. And another really interesting thing about it is that I actually met 2 different women, girls, that told me that they had very similar experiences. So one person told me that she also started feeling energies. She started getting into Qigong as well, you know. And another person told me that she never smokes any weed. One time she just had this kind of urge to smoke some weed, so she smoked a little bit, and then she started becoming more sensitive as well. So, you know, I think a lot of star seeds, this is like your DNA upgrade basically. That's something that you agreed on the soul level before entering, that you're gonna have activated. You know, some people talk about Kundalini Awakening. I don't know, I'm not really that familiar with how Kundalini Awakening works. Perhaps that was a Kundalini Awakening, I don't know. All I know that different people have these kind of things happening to them in different ways, and most of these people are some kind of light workers, star seeds, you know, people who are on this path, really getting deeper and deeper into these kind of topics. So that's it, you know, all I wanted to tell you about this experience. And 100% I wasn't stoned. I think weed was just like enhancing the experience and helping me to relax. But another interesting thing, actually, I've heard about people who on ayahuasca had something like that. So for example, you know, you are in altered state, and for example, a friend of mine said he had literally, like, someone was aligning his spine on ayahuasca, was like his spine was clicking, like, you know. So I think that sometimes, you know, substances like cannabis or some psychedelics can just, you know, raise your consciousness or make you more sensitive for a short period of time, and this is where the upgrade is applied. It's done by the spirit or, you know, entities, and that's it, you know. That's why it happens to some people while they are on something like ayahuasca or psilocybin or maybe cannabis. But it's not a hallucination, it's not, you know, this is like a lasting thing that stayed with me till today. Not only that, I was explained that this is something I agreed on before I was born. So let me know what you think about it. If you had any similar experiences, please share them in the comments. And if you had something like a Kundalini Awakening, I'm curious to know what was it like for you. I know that a lot of people have these kind of experiences in their own ways, so not everyone's gonna have the same kind of, but normally it kind of activates you a little bit. And please check out patreon.com/TruthTheory to become a supporter so we can create more content. And if you want to work on one-to-one basis with me, I'm doing coaching at truththeory.com/coaching, and initial consultation is free of charge. Have a look what's going on there. So thanks for checking out another episode of True Spirituality. Until next time.